Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Walls. Welcome back to a new update video on the channel. Hope you guys are keeping well and safe. Of course, it's the international break now. It's when news slows down a little bit, but we tend to see maybe a little bit more transfer rumours with obviously club football quietening down. As always, going to be giving you the latest and the updates in and around Molineux right now. If we could try and smash 250 likes on this video, that would be brilliant. But let's kick off with the big news today. That's been circulating about the Wolves captain, Nelson Semedo, once again. He's been linked with a move back to his homeland of Portugal and back to his former club, Benfica. Now, we've seen this rumour before, probably since the end of last year, really. It's continued. And it's again being pushed by some of the big papers over in Portugal. Record in Portugal are insisting that Nelson Semedo is one of the key targets for Bruno Lage's side this summer. Benfica need a right back. They see Nelson Semedo as a perfect option for that role. Of course, still at Wolves, his contract expires at the end of the season. He's currently away with Portugal on international duty right now. So Portugal in in Portugal are really pushing this and have done for a while, and it was at the front of their newspaper today. Arbola, who are a different source in Portugal, however, say maybe it's not as straightforward as some other outlets are making out, and they believe Nelson Semedo will have to take some sort of a pay cut to join Benfica. He's one of Wolves' higher earners, not the highest, but one of the higher earners at the moment, and that's why it's quite a difficult deal for Wolves just to renew his deal. It's not as straightforward as people would make out, but for me now, really, there's three options on the table for Nelson. Firstly, is obviously to stay at Wolves. It was a weird situation because when the news sort of dropped towards the end of last year that it was sort of 50-50 whether Nelson was going to be staying at the club, I really thought, well, let's see what Wolves' Premier League status is, and if we're staying up, which it's not done yet, but it looks likely, Nelson will probably stay. However, obviously, there's some more complications in that now. I think if Wolves can try and keep Nelson on the same terms, if not slightly lower terms, then I think Wolves will probably sign up for another year or two. The second situation is him moving back to Portugal, but like I've already said, he's probably going to have to take a pay cut. So that will be almost like a sentimental move rather, more than anything. However, he will have Champions League football. He will be fighting for titles, which sort of as a personal honour, would be good for Nelson. And the third option is obviously if he wants a big last payday, I have no doubt there'll probably be a move in Saudi Arabia or somewhere similar to that for Nelson. So there's three options really on the table, and I'm still none the wiser in which one the Wolves captain will take. If I'm honest, I think he probably will move on. I think Benfica is probably going to be a likely return for him. But we of course will wait and see on that one. There's been a few rumours and links with Wolves to South American talents once again. It's a market that Wolves have sort of looked at over the last couple of years and had some success. We look at Andre, we look at João Gomes, two of the key players in the current Wolves squad coming from the Brazilian leagues. We've had other players that we haven't really seen the best of just yet, but may well come good. Enzo Gonzalez is one of them who I'll talk about actually shortly. And Pedro Lima, of course. Well, one of the other players that Wolves are looking at is the centre-back, Victor Gabriel. He actually plays, or is at least he's contracted to Pedro Lima's former club, Sport Recife. But he's out on loan at Internacional over in Brazil at the moment. Now, he's not making loads of first-team appearances. He's more of a regular for their under-20s side. And Internacional want to buy Victor Gabriel. However, Wolves are keeping a keen eye on him. They have had scouts watching him, according to reports, in Brazil. And again, like I said, it's another market Wolves are looking at. This is the perfect age, really. The late teens going up to the early 20s, sort of 22, 23. It's the best time to buy these players in Brazil. You get really good value on them as well. And if they're young enough, i.e. around that 17, 18-year mark, like Pedro Lima is, of course, if they stay at the club, they then become homegrown, and you just see a lot of long-term benefits with that for the player and for the value of the player and so on. So Victor Gabriel, probably not a straightforward one, but one maybe to keep our eye on going into the summer. Another one which I've just mentioned, fits in quite well, is Riquelme Felipe, 18-year-old forward currently playing for Palmeiras over in Brazil. Another sought after player. Has played in Brazil for the youth level as well. But this is perfect to what I said. 18 years of age. If he joins Wolves, he's got that opportunity to potentially go on to become homegrown at the club. Wolves have reportedly prepared a bid of around €6 million plus bonuses for the summer. So out of the two, Riquelme Felipe seems like one that is quite promising. And the thing with things like this is, I look at our team at the moment this season, and like the forward line is quite. I don't know. I think without Cunha when he's like injured or suspended, we don't really have that bite and that someone that's going to get the ball and get me off my seat. We haven't really got that like we had maybe with Adama Traore. And without knowing loads and loads about Riquelme Felipe, I would love to have someone that we know will take a little bit of time. He's quite rough and raw, but he's going to come onto the pitch and give it his all, which is what you tend to see a lot with the South American players that we seem to have bought so far. Give it his all and just be a player that will give 110% for the club. And hopefully we see that if we are going on to sign players like Felipe. We didn't really have that. Or we potentially had that with Carlos Forbes, but he's not really had the opportunity. So players like this, I would hope to see. It will take a while, but if we can slowly bleed them and bed them into the team, you certainly will see long-term benefits, especially if you're able to buy players for as cheap as what it says there, around the €6 million mark. Now, going back to Enzo Gonzalez, who I mentioned a short while ago, of course, he had a nasty ACL injury that he suffered during the Olympics back in July 2024. It's actually thought that he's going to be close now to returning to full training in the next 3 to 5 weeks or so, and we could see Enzo back in full training, which will be a big boost. News outlets in Paraguay have said that he will be back available for the game against Tottenham Hotspur. If I'm completely honest, I can't see him playing a Premier League game for Wolves this side of the summer. We may well see him creep into some 21s games, but Wolves may not rush him. They may well wait to the pre-season, get him in around the first team. May well see a loan move away for him, but we'll wait and see on that one. And then going on to the internationals, I'll flag up on the screen now. I did a little bit of digging to try and find out pretty much everybody that's out on international duty. I think I'm fairly close. Now, Jorgen Strand Larsen for Norway has pulled out due to an injury with his hand. The Norwegian FA don't want to aggravate that any further. And from this list, Rodrigo Gomez has just pulled out of the Spain under-21s as well. No, Hugo Bueno, sorry, not Rodrigo Gomez. Hugo Bueno has pulled out. So we've got Mateus Cunha and Andre for Brazil, Santiago Bueno, Juanqui Chan, Emmanuel Agbedu, Ryan Aitnouri, Nasser Giga, Marshall Manetzi, and Tawanda Chirewa. Jose Sarr, Nelson Semedo, Matt Doherty, Justin Hubner. For Portugal 21s, we've got Rodrigo Gomez, Carlos Forbes, and Fabio Silva. For Spain 21s, we've got Hugo Bueno. For Wales youth sides, we've got Lewis Benjamin, the 21s goalkeeper, and Mackenzie Bradbury for the under-18s. And then for the England under-18s, we've got the star Mateus Mane, who did feature in the first team squad a few weeks ago for Wolves as well. So an exciting international break for some of those. Hopefully we see some good cameos, hopefully some goals in there as well. And it's a nice little reset period now for Wolves after the win against Southampton as we move on to the next fixture, which will be against West Ham United on April Fool's Day. But as always, guys, let's smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Keep you guys up to date as much as I can. But look after yourselves, enjoy your week, enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch you on the next one.